This week on Rockstar Superhero.
Esjay Jones came to the United States and specifically to Los Angeles in pursuit of a dream. This dream wasn't apparent, but she knew in her gut that a destiny waited for her. Was it fame? Was it some sort of perceived importance? Who knew? Now, if you cut to today, Esjay is not only an influencer in the music business, but a confident woman connected in all things rock and roll. She has instincts that most of us wish we understood and a drive that is unrelenting. She will never stop, never cave in, and never quit on her friends, her family, or the world. She is what they call in the superhero business, inevitable. Our conversation was brimming with energy and a sense of humor that is rare in my world, and our talk was one of my favorite experiences ever. So hang on to your hats, because this is about as real as it gets. This is Esjay Jones, the creator of We Are Pigs, on Rockstar Superhero.
What was a little Esjay like running around the home, you know? I mean, where did you get this energy from, your musical drive, your ambition? How did it all start?
Gosh, I don't know. I was born in South Africa. I guess my musical drive came from, like, some of my youngest memories are sitting around the piano with my grandmother. She was an opera singer. And so we just used to sit around the piano and play and sing. And I don't know. I think a lot of people will tell you that I'm high energy. A lot of people will tell you that I'm not high energy. So it depends what day you catch me on.
Yeah. But you're a good kind of high energy. I mean, you're the best kind. And I don't even know you, but I sense that every time I see something you're doing online, whether it's, you're on your social media stuff or the music videos you've created, the music you're developing, there's this intense, and I use the word joy a lot, but there's this intense joy that pours out of you. And I wonder how much of that is you and how much of it is expectation, right? And I'm not saying you're putting it on.
No.
But how much of it is also maybe culture, right? Coming from South Africa, maybe you were influenced in a different way than us weird Americans.
You know what? I think inherently I'm a very joyful person. I have a really hard time, connecting with the idea of like really deep depression, because coming from a third world, I see people with so much less than what we have, and that's always kind of my perspective on life, is just going like, no matter where we are in life, there are millions of people that don't have running water, that don't have access to food. So it changes your perspective of what joy and what we should be thankful for, and everyday gratitude. And I just feel so much gratitude in my everyday life that I get to wake up and I have electricity. Like,
yes.
I think that's something that as Americans, I feel that maybe don't take for granted, but maybe it's just like you were born into it, and it's like you don't, like, a drive through Starbucks is a normal thing, And so whereas in a lot of places in the world, people can't even eat.
Yeah.
So I think when you start putting things into perspective, sorry, my in-ears are just doing something funny here. So,
no, it's all right.
I think when you start putting things into perspective, it really changes your view on life and happiness and joy, and just to be surrounded by friends and family and to have a roof over your head. I think that's really that really, like, you are successful in life if you have a friend and you have a roof over your head. That to me is success.
Yes. And it's interesting too that you touch on this, because this is something I love to talk about this. I love to remind the world, because the world knows better, right? We're, like you said, we're in America. We're so used to getting up in the morning and saying, I really fancy a cup of coffee, and then running down to the shop.
Totally.
And our lives are made awful by the fact that our windshield wipers don't work, right? That's when our lives fall apart. Right. And yet there are people all over, and not just, of course, in the hovels, in say Johannesburg or whatever, but so many places around the world where even if people think you believe a certain way differently than they think, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not even talking about religion, but just that person believes something different than me, or I assume that person believes, they'll cut your head off. You'll die. You'll be burnt for it. You'll be tortured for it. Your children will be dismembered in front of you. Yep. And we're worried about how many hot sauces we have.
Totally, man. I honestly feel that, I think social media and access to things, has really become a problem for us as a whole, as a society, because, it's instead of looking at what we have right in front of us and being proud of the little things that we get every day and all of these goals and all these achievements, it's like we're forever trying to strive because, this billionaire has something and we see it on our feed and it's like, but I don't have that, and should I have it? Yeah. So it's really messing with our mental states. And I think it's really important, and the whole concept behind We Are Pigs really has been touching on all of these flaws within social media and internet and access. Yeah. I think access is the problem, because it's like we aren't living in real life, in real time, in real human touching flesh. It's like we're touching the screen the whole time, which we will never achieve, So come on, like, what is the point? Like, get off your phone and go like play bows and arrows or something,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and what's crazy is we've been so taught, you just mentioned touching the screen. When we grab a photo, I was just down at my mother's house for a holiday, and I was pulling out an old photo album to show to my children about, when I was growing up. Right. And when I grabbed one of the photos, because I'm a little older, I have to wear glasses now when I'm right. It's just kind of.
We all do. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I grabbed a photo and my daughter said, "Oh, Dad, what's that?" And I put my fingers on it, Esjay, and I went and I tried to expand. I'm holding a picture. I tried to expand the photo because of the habit. And what I ended up doing is I took a photo of the photo and then I expanded it on my phone so I could show my daughter that that's me in the background. And we live in this world that not only can we do that, but we live in this world that we think that that's the way things are. Yeah. Our children don't understand, and I know I could preach forever on all of the things that are wrong. Does it really change anything? I mean, are people really listening anyway? Do they care?
Yeah, no, no, I don't think so.
That's why we are pigs.
That is why we are pigs, man. Like, honestly, just out of this project has been completely self-indulgent. Because I think it was my way of being able to cope with the changes. It's like I'm going through a midlife crisis right now. I've become that person that it's like, oh, the kids, they would never understand what good music is. I'm like, oh God, I've become that person. But it really is everything to do with social media. I really do. And again, the word access, because I just think we're missing out what's right in front of our face. And this has been my own lesson to myself, and a lesson of gratitude, because no matter how successful we are in our careers, whether it be music, whether you are a janitor, whether you own a company or entrepreneur, it's like we're never ever like satisfied.
No,
which I think that you should be ambitious and you should not be lazy and you should be driven, but I also think at some point life is short and we're missing out on time with our families. And it's been a really good kind of mental change for me. Instead of chasing this thing, which maybe I will never achieve, rather just enjoy what is right in front of me right now and just go with the flow.
Yeah. I mean, the whole speck of time thing, right? I mean, it's our lives. And, my dad, I say this a lot, but I'm going to bring it up again because it's relevant to this conversation. My dad passed away a little over 5 years ago. And right before he died, Esjay, it's awful, but it's life, he said to me, "You be careful, Rob, you be careful." And I said, what, Dad? And he said, 2 days ago, I was in high school and today I'm dying.
Wow.
It's that right. Everything if you look back, I was saying this to my wife last night. So I'm 55 years old. I was saying this to my wife last night.
Spring chicken.
Yeah. I know. But we've been married about 25 years. We've been together 25 years. And I look back at that time and I can say, oh my God, that 25 years has gone so quickly. And yet, if I really think about it, if I take a few moments, it absolutely, I can think of all the things that have happened in that 25 years. It's an immense time. It's a long, long time. And yet, 25 years from now, because it went like that, I will be 80 years old.
Incredible.
Which if I make it there, right? Life can happen. Yeah. And so it's absolutely what you say. It's about choosing to be grateful for the moment, which is massively hard, at least for me. And I think it's really, really difficult for most people, but I think especially artists. I think this is the dilemma we suffer from because we're always trying to fill the God-sized hole, right?
Yep.
Something's missing, so we're chasing, and that guy has something, and that guy, and if I just had that, or if I just looked like her, or how come it's not fair? And granted, the reality is, Esjay, it isn't fair. You can look at all those people and say that, and this isn't about you, but I want to say this. That if you put two, let's say drum performances, I'm a drummer, you put two drum performances online that are both exceptional, the pretty girl will get 10 times the views simply because she can screenshot it. And guys, we're idiots. we'll look at the pretty girl playing drums because of two reasons. We want to be able to say, oh, she's pretty, which is, again, insane. And two, we want to be able to actually come down on her. We want to be able to say, oh, she's not very good. It's probably because she's a woman. This is awful. I know I'm saying these things out loud, but this is how people think. And I know you know that, which you're battling against. So what I want to say this one more time. You are such an inspiration to me because you were immensely popular in South Africa from everything I can tell. You hit the top of the charts 4 times. You sold a lot of albums and you became, in a sense, an icon in that country. And yet you chose to leave it behind and pursue a new world, a new life, in Los Angeles. And I want to know, why did you choose that?
It's always so nice to hear when somebody says that because we're obviously always very hard on ourselves. And it's, I forget to put into perspective a lot. Like that's a lot what you just said, achieving so much and then leaving it all behind. And, I guess I just, from when I was a kid, I just remember just in my head, every part of me has wanted to be in the United States and be, I don't know, famous for a lack of a better word, which I'm not, but it's like I guess America had trickled, like the American dream trickles down to everywhere in the entire world. Like the entire world looks at America like this is the land of opportunity.
Because it is.
Yeah, it really is. And listen, it's like every single country has its problems. Do I think America is perfect? Absolutely not. I think I'm a lot happier in other countries some of the time, but it's like the opportunities that are given here are just spectacular,
Yeah.
So I think everything in perspective, I guess I'm a risk taker in life. I'm a professional gambler. That's what I call myself, I guess. And I'm willing to take chances. It's like I make $10, I'll spend that $10 on investing into something that I believe in. And those risks have been enormous, but I'm happy. Am I rolling in cash? Absolutely not. But am I happy with my choices? Just because I have no regrets. So yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of the question is kind of multifaceted in a way. Giving up a career of one path in South Africa. It kind of opened up a whole new realm of things which I didn't realize that I could do, getting into the songwriting side, into the engineering side, into the production side, which has led me into rooms with incredible people, working on Chester Bennington's project, the Grey Days project, working with Dave Navarro, working with the Korn guys, so it's been an interesting journey, and I'm very grateful to be here, and really happy that I made the jump from South Africa to here.
Yeah. I am too. I'm happy you did. You know why?
Thanks, Rob.
Do you know why? Because when we connected on social media, and this happens to me every once in a while, and again, I don't want to get too spiritual on you, but I always feel like I get certain God moments. Certain things happen that just drop me square where I'm supposed to go.
Totally.
And when you and I connected, I said, and this is true, I'm going to embarrass myself in front of the world, Esjay and I are going to become best friends. I don't know. There's something strange about it, but I was so stoked. It was instantly excited. Like, I mean, like I could feel it in my bones. I could feel it right now. And when I just saying that just to you right now, I teared up a little. I don't know but it just feels so great. And I think it goes back to that energy, your strengths. We long to be around people that elevate us, right? Because here's the reality, man. If we're in a bad place, right, our energy precedes us. And if we walk into a room, we don't have to slam the door, but everybody knows we just walked into the room because the mood has changed and the spiritual overwhelm has stepped into the room with us.
Totally.
But it works the opposite too. And you don't have to experience it in person. You can feel it coming out of your words. And that is such a deep and impactful thing. And it's why I believe you exist in the way you exist, that you're finding, regardless of your searching, you're finding ease as you step forward, because people go, I don't know what it is about that girl, but I want to be around her.
Oh, thanks, Rob. That really means a lot. It really, really does. I definitely believe in purpose and destiny, and I hope that I can shed a little bit of joy and light and inspiration to people. I mean, there really is, people do have different purposes, and I really do believe I was born to make music and share some kind of positivity through that. So thank you. That really means a lot.
Well, you're welcome. I can't wait to meet you in person, but this is pretty good. And you know what? If you got a drum kit sitting around when I come, I'll fly down and visit you. If you got a drum kit sitting around, I'll lay down some tracks for you. We'll have a good time. It'll be great.
I can't wait. We're gonna jam, man. We're gonna jam.
Yeah, we do. I'm a life coach. I don't know if you know this about me, but this is one of the things I do. I'm always hesitant to talk about it. But I was thinking about you and your desire to move here. And in a few ways, obviously, it's another world. Everything was going to completely change in your life. And you've certainly sort of addressed this question already, but I want to ask it very pointedly. What would you say are your biggest strengths?
You know, I think like from a personal and professional point of view, personally, my biggest strengths are probably my positivity. I definitely, I'm going to pivot a little bit here, but I have a very difficult time understanding or just accepting that like depression is like a huge thing, because I'm just like, come on guys, like look at what we've got, like let's go for a run, let's do some exercise, like let's, there's a lot of things, look at everything else that's going on in the world, and then change your perspective and your point of view. So I really like, for me, like fundamentally, I'm not a person that, sure, I can have a day where I'm just feeling like, I'm just not feeling 100%. Yeah. But I think fundamentally, like my mental state is generally very positive, super go-getter, like, oh, I'm not feeling that great. Let's go for a walk. Let's go for a run. Let's put on some metal music and like jump around the house, Right. I think from a business point of view, my strengths would be, I think being a multi-instrumentalist has really opened up such a massive facet of being able to sit in a room with incredible musicians and go like, I'm sitting with Head from Korn, and he's like saying, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, what do you think about this? Right. And so, and being able to be an equal, just because, I've spent hundreds of thousands of hours on my craft and being a musician and being able to, engineer and play. And, so I would say those are my strengths, positivity, and just, working really hard at my craft. Yeah. And I think that that's no excuse. I always think like something, I have absolutely zero formal training in anything, and everything that I learned was either from growing up in the church. So basically I learned musicianship from worship stuff growing up. So I learned guitar, drums, bass, keyboards, just from song structure, just from being thrown into church bands and being like, okay, cool, this is how you do it. Yeah. But I think there's no excuse, if you're really serious about yourself and you take yourself seriously, go onto YouTube and you can learn anything you want. You can learn to be a mechanic. You can learn to be the greatest guitar player. You can learn to be a chef. There's no excuse anymore for you not to be. You are just the only person holding yourself back. And that's kind of my mentality. I'm always just like, get up early. I'm an early riser. I get up. I'm not a super late person, but I love to wake up early. I wake up at like 5:30 every morning.
You've got to torture every artist you work with.
I know.
Because they all want to start at 2 p.m. and go till 4 a.m, and you're the exact opposite.
Dude, like I just like maybe back in the day, when I used to be crazy and like do shit tons of drugs and drink too much, like maybe then, but now it's like I don't know, I'm on a much healthier, much more positive, much more what is the word, when you can just get a lot more done, it's like I go to sleep by like 10 o'clock at night and I'm awake by 6 and I'm up. That's the word. It's efficient. And it works for me. And it might not, some people are on completely different schedules, but but I'm definitely not hate to break everybody's rock star illusions, but like I'm in bed by like 9 if I can be.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
I'm like, totally a good book, some Netflix, good night.
That's awesome. It makes sense why you're in LA too. You know what I mean? I've been thinking about this for a while. And I mean, I thought about the question, like, what drew you there, but I think the reality of what drew you there is it's a combination of things. You were drawn towards the dream of what LA could be for you, like how it could equate into what you saw in your head, what you hear in your mind. But I think it was made for you. It was almost like, again, going back to the God-sized thing, it seems to me that, you were created, obviously, like all of us, very specifically. We have a thumbprint that's unique to us, and we have a spiritual thumbprint that's unique to us, and we have a purpose that's unique to us. It just happens to be filtered through the relationships we have. But Los Angeles as a whole almost feels like it was made for you, right? Like this is where you belong. And I'm curious, do you know what drew you there? What was it that made it feel so pointed and special to you?
I guess LA is just, it has the entire world. And I mean, just growing up in South Africa, it was just like Los Angeles, it has this allure.
Hollywood.
And, for some reason, yeah, totally. Hollywood, like we think the people are different and the people are more special in some way. And there's just, I guess I mean, LA and New York, if you want to be in the music business, I think you have to be I don't know.
You have to be there. You do.
Now that there's been COVID, and I think that everyone sees how efficient things are over Zoom, I don't know if you have to be in LA anymore, honestly. But I think it's good, when you're in your like late teens, early 20s, to get in there and network and do the whole LA strip thing. And it's super sceney, and there's a vibe, and it's super cool. And, there's definitely something about LA. However, it's also an extremely soulless place.
Yes.
And I think the reason why I have moved myself out a good distance outside of LA is just because I don't know, in order to keep, it's important to me that I'm not caught up in non-reality. And I think that Los Angeles and Hollywood and what social media is portraying of LA and Hollywood and all those superstars and whatever have you, that's not real life, man. So I don't really want to be, I don't want to be like in my 30s, like, oh, I can't eat this because I'm not thin enough, and oh, I need to go get, it's just it sucks, and I think that LA is a cesspool for that, and I don't think it's reality, and I don't think that we should that shouldn't be the barometer for our lives, And so just moving far enough away from it has kind of been cool, because it's like I get to hang out with ordinary people that have ordinary jobs, and it's kind of more my pace, because I'm not a fancy girl. I don't like fancy things. I mean, sure, it's nice to have fancy things every now and then, but I would much rather be hanging out, like fishing with my friends,
That's awesome.
Than like, I don't know, doing like a 5-star dinner that could feed an entire Ethiopian village,
Right. Well, yeah, but you come from that, what you're wasting, Right. I mean, Yucca Valley too. I mean, for anybody listening, if you don't know about it, it's like one of the hottest places in the world. I actually drove through there in the spring once, and I was like, good gravy, this place is just like, it's already too much. You know what I mean? But I completely agree with you. I mean, I know I'm going to say this a lot today, but I love that you understand this about the place, because when people are seeking to fill what they feel is missing, they'll do anything. And some people say within reason, but no, it becomes unreasonable. They'll do anything
100%
to become something that they think they should be, or that they aren't and deserve to be.
Yep. 100%, man. It's a conundrum, and I think when you are in it, it's very hard to have 20/20 vision, because everybody that is in LA is the certain kind of person. And it's really difficult, because you have 15-year-old kids driving cars that are $500,000. It's not reality. And so, and I think, again, with the We Are Pigs concept and the concept album, it's all like, these are concepts which we're talking about. It's like, we need to find happiness with what we have within ourselves, and understand that is not reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because that's obviously why we're here. The one thing that you clearly are is the collaboration queen. You know what I mean? What with project collaborations, as you mentioned, Brian Head from Welch, from Welch, good God. Brian Welch from Korn, Gina Shaw from the Go-Go's, Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins, Morgan from Kitty. Oh my God, that was fantastic. That freaked me out.
She's so cool.
Dave Navarro, I think you worked with Nile Rodgers, or maybe on the fringes, who is just, a legend and somebody I would like to work with as a former session drummer. I'm sure you're hiding more names, but I don't know if you're open to doing this, but do you have a secret sauce when it comes to working with artists or getting to artists? In my world, you just ask, kind of like you and I are talking today. But I wonder, because you're present and you don't have to do it online and hope somebody sees an email, what's your process of connecting with people that you're maybe willing to share?
Well, We Are Pigs was born off of the collaborations of relationships that I've built over my 25 years of being in the music industry.
Yeah.
So I think the secret sauce is, and I've said this before, I think it's being a good person, and not, once you actually, people start seeing you in rooms and they start seeing your name more on projects, and they realize that you aren't there to take from them.
Right. This is what you do. Yeah.
Right. The collaborations for We Are Pigs, like, that was just, we were in a pandemic and nobody was touring. So I just reached out to friends and was just like, hey, I've started this project. Here's a song idea. Do you want to jump on it? And most people said yes, which is mind blowing still.
Yeah.
But I think there's also no harm in asking. There's that Amanda Palmer from the Dresden Dolls. She has a book. I think it's called The Art of Asking or The Power of Asking. I can't remember the name right now. I'm having a blank. But, the worst thing people can say is no.
Yeah.
So people ask me all the time if I can do stuff. And I really do believe, bless you.
Thank you.
I really...
I've been holding it for 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Well done.
Thank you. I made it so. Anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think just I was saying, people ask me all the time just because of how much favor I've had. And obviously there's things that I can say yes to, but I also have only a certain amount of bandwidth that I can do. So, in terms of the We Are Pigs collaborations, again, I just got lucky that people had bandwidth to jump onto these songs.
Yeah. But
really, it's relationship. It's relationship stuff.
Yeah, but you said it. 25 years, you were prepared for the moment. Your ambition, right, pushes your preparation forward. But people, when they finally get in touch with you, they go, oh, okay, so here's somebody who's practiced and ready to receive the things she's asking for. Right. It's all the things. You can be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't go through the process of the ask, like you and I have experienced, or you ask all the time, but you have no preparation and talent, either one is a fail. It's just not going to happen. And you have to have the moment. That's where luck happens, right? I mean,
man.
if you want to call it that, I mean, I don't want to be cheesy and just say everything is a blessing, because I do think some things are definitely accidents in the greater scheme of things, but you have to be prepared for those moments.
Totally. I think it's also about putting in those tens of thousands of hours,
Yes,
and I think maybe that's what the allure and kindness to people have been in my life. It's like I've put in these tens of thousands of hours, and I said this on an interview the other day that it frustrates me a lot when I see, again, like social media. I think like TikTok I think people that should never ever be famous or artists are now famous artists because of TikTok and social media. They haven't put in. Yesterday they were a dentist. Today they are a billionaire superstar because of TikTok. I think it's like you haven't put in your tens of thousands of hours. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's like, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, that's where the luck thing, right? We talk about, but that's also where the doom is coming, SJ. I mean, those young kids, those 15-year-olds driving $500,000 cars, the kids that have a TikTok club, like a group of 10 kids that go traveling around the world, and they all live in a giant home in Beverly Hills, and they're making $10 million a year because they have sneaker endorsements.
Crazy.
It all goes away. And yes, they get to have this experience, and good for them. I mean, honestly, good for them. I'm glad they're able to experience it as long as it keeps them healthy.
Yeah.
But it is so unrealistic, and our children or our grandchildren, whomever, are looking at this and saying, well, I should sort of deserve that, because again, we're growing up in the same society where you have 25 hot sauces in the refrigerator. Yeah. It's all so weird. So getting on track. You recently released Kids with Brian Welch and JR. From, obviously Brian's from Korn, JR and Brian from the Whosoever's and Love of Death. Will you tell me a little bit about that project, why you wanted to work with those guys in particular, and really what your desired outcome was for that project? What is that project about? I already know, but I want my audience to hear.
So, nobody probably knows anything about my history, so I'll just spill it out. But I grew up in the church, and it was super kind of culty religious situation, and I was only allowed to listen to Christian music, because if I was listening to secular music, I would be going to hell. So like POD and Love and Death and Pillar and all those kind of bands were bands that I grew up on and loved because I was allowed to listen to them. So Love and Death, before I even knew who Korn was a massive part and of my hugely influential my formative years.
Wow.
And then so many, many, many years later, and, I no longer believe in organized religion. I'm very grateful for what the church had instilled in me and what I've learned from it. But, my perspective has changed. And many years later, I'm now producing the Grey Days record, which is the project Chester Bennington was working on just before he passed. And we had Head and Monkey come in from the band Korn to play on a couple of the songs. And Head and I just hit it off. Like we had a great connection. And my first thing to him was like, that I have on my phone, I have 2 downloaded albums on my phone. I was like, one of them is Deftones' White Pony, and the other one is the Love and Death record. I was like, check this out. He's like, no way, that's so crazy. I'm like, Love and Death. This album is one of my favorite albums of all time. I just love it sonically. I love everything about that Love and Death record, which I think came out in like 2002-ish, somewhere in there, maybe a little later.
Yeah.
It could be 2008 or 2012. I can't remember. But but he was just like, no way, that's great. And then, we connected on kind of our horror stories from the church, and kind of, which has been a really great connection. And so then during the pandemic, I said to him, well, hey man, I've got this idea. I don't know if you've watched this HBO show called Euphoria with Zendaya. And I was like, but it was probably the most traumatic thing I've ever watched in my entire life. I don't know if you've watched that show.
I haven't watched it. I know about it. I've been afraid to watch it, but I'll probably check it out eventually.
It was just so horrific to me. And I don't know if maybe just because I was brought up in like such a white picket fence religious circle that I was never exposed to any of this stuff, but I was like, oh my gosh, I never had to deal with any of these problems. I never had to deal with any of this stuff. Sure, like I had a different set of challenges, but I was just like, I'm so horrified with what the youth has to deal with today. And I have a sister who's 21 years younger than me. She's she's still in high school. And I was just like, oh my gosh, she's going through all of these things right now. And so I reached out to Brian and I said, hey, let's collaborate on the song using this as a concept, because I'm like, the kids aren't all right. And he's like, well, I think that we have to change that to the kids are all right. We have to change the narrative and control that and put the positivity into the universe that everything is going to be all right because we're okay.
Yeah.
I got through all of my stuff. You got through all of your stuff. And so it ended up just being a really cool collab. And JR is one of the most insane guitar players.
Oh my God, he's so good.
He is so ridiculous.
It's so good.
I was like, I sent him a track and I was like, this is what I'm thinking about what the guitar should be. And he was like, just take the guitars off, let me like reimagine it. And he came back and I was like, what are these guitar parts? This is crazy. So it was just really cool. And it was so nice that that Brian and JR they allowed the song just to become what it is. It was such a wonderful collaboration and it was so easy. We literally were just over Zoom and wrote the song over Zoom like this. And then I had my partner in France mix it. And then we had Emily Lazar master the record, and she's a badass. So it was a really so easy. Yeah. It was just like it was so organic and it just flowed and it was awesome. And then we got the animated music video done, which is like dark and creepy, but it has such a great message behind it. So we kind of just like letting it roll,
Yeah.
What happens.
Yeah. But I think that here's how I see it though. I love that you shared this because it's all the things I was feeling. You can tell there's a positive message in it, but yes, it's juxtaposed with that dark, edgy, graphic thing that's happening visually in the background, and yet there's hope in it. It's such a. I don't want to say it's confusing. It's such a conundrum. It goes back to the word use of that word earlier. Life is a conundrum. The way we behave, it doesn't make a lot of sense when we have so many blessings, so many opportunities around us. And something that has become the cornerstone of sort of my worldly view and the way I personally sort of preach the gospel of Rob is about purpose. I still attend a church but I'm like you in that I guess I was fortunate that I was raised in a family that instilled in me. I don't want to say that I should think this way, but that they let me think this way. They really did. They didn't enforce church or enforce faith or enforce certainly no religious expectation on us, but we were allowed to come into ourselves. And if we chose that, we chose that. And if we didn't, obviously, then that's a whole different animal. Right. But I chose this direction. I chose to say, I believe that Christ existed. I believe that Christ did this. I believe that all these things. And obviously that does put me at times at odd with my own behaviors. And it puts me at odds with the world that goes, oh, there's that hypocritical piece of crap, right? Which is very, very hard. But I guess what I'm trying to say through all of this is what I've discovered is what's important is our purpose is a combination of what has been born into us and who we're surrounded with, right?
Agreed.
And so if I'm this, I'm not going to brag about myself, but I'm this, but if I'm this exceptional drummer, but I'm an exceptional drummer. I should be around people that elevate my game. I shouldn't walk into the room and be the top dog. And so I purposely do not do that. I purposely go towards the light, meaning I want to be around the people that blow me out of the water. So I have to elevate. I have to become better. And I believe that purpose, that drive is what gets me where I'm going. Right. And you're doing the same thing. Yes. Brian and JR, quote unquote, famous musicians, very actually, significantly famous musicians.
Yeah.
And you, with all of your skills and your talent, I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but you with all of the things that you bring to the table can still be, and again, not purposely pointed in this direction, but can be elevated by that because they make you better.
100%.
And then your mission, your message, your purpose comes out in the wash. And what we see is important. It isn't just cool. It isn't just fun or interesting, or I go like, wow, listen to her voice or listen to this tone, but I'm impacted by what's happening. And maybe confused. Maybe I want to question it, but I'm still paying attention. And so if you can emulate that, if you can, if people like me can absorb it and you can keep going and keep increasing that message, then you're doing your thing. I mean, you're doing the thing you were put here to do. The religion has nothing to do with it. Your faith, your positivity, your soul, the powers that have been downloaded into you by your creator are the most important things. But all this control crap, because somebody says a certain thing should not be how you believe and walk is, I mean, that song Die Religion Die that Brian did back in 2006 is one of the most important anti-church, pro-Christ songs there is. But nobody could listen to it without judging it because they're like, well, he's clearly, I mean, he says he's a Christian, but he's totally not a Christian because a Christian would never say that. Man, I say fuck all the time. Die religion, fucking die. And thank you, Jesus, for allowing me. Thank you for giving me that expletive that sometimes needs to make a point.
Yep. 100%, man. 100%.
Sorry, I was preaching there. I have to get off my pulpit now.
Get on it, man.
We're gonna hang out so much, SJ. I can't
wait.
I'm serious. I'm gonna buy a ticket like tomorrow. We're gonna get together. I'm gonna bring my drumsticks. We're gonna talk a lot.
I can't wait, man.
We're gonna put something down. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be on next year's top album list.
I'm holding you to it.
I will. I promise you. I
can't wait.
I promise everybody listening to this, and then when we do it, we're going to put it out on YouTube. It's going to get like 10 million views in a day.
Heck yeah, dude. What's up?
So look, I don't want to keep you, but I really want to know what's next for you. What's next for We Are Pigs? What's the direction you're taking everything? I know you just, you're always working on projects. You have new stuff coming out all the time. I could spend an eternity just talking to you and sharing this joy with you. But where are you going with all this, SJ? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm so excited, Rob, to tell you and your listeners that Terry Corso from the band Alien Ant Farm is the official guitar player for We Are Pigs. And we are touring next year. We will be touring America and Europe from May next year. It's super cool. We're busy. We're locking down to write an EP together now. Terry and I have a song. It's officially We Are Pigs is Terry and I, and we have our first single coming out next week called Anorectic. So if you go onto our socials, you'll start seeing Terry and I on everything, and the press release comes out the first week of January that Alien Ant Farm is on hiatus, and Terry and I will be touring. We have pigs next year, so I'm hoping to. We've got a couple of sneaky plans, and I'm hoping that the tours are what we have in our head. So you will be the first to know, but they'll be big.
That is such good news. You know, I've seen some photos online, so I kind of put two and two together. I don't think it's that hard to do, but actually hearing the news and actually hearing it official is really super cool. Oh my gosh. Oh, now I'm going to just get all selfish, so I got to shut up. But I love this so much. I'm so pleased to hear this. You said the new single comes out when? When does it come out?
It comes out on the 21st of December, so it's next Tuesday. So it actually comes out the Monday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. On all platforms. So next Monday at 9 p.m. LA time. Anorectic will be coming out, and the song is basically just like a massive sucker punch to, like, it's just noise the entire time, which is, again, like, this project is just completely self-indulgent, and I don't care who likes the song or not. It's for us. It's how we feel expressively, and we can't wait to perform it live and just rip some faces off, and it's going to be awesome.
Oh my God. I can't contain myself. Well, actually, I'm containing myself. I admit it, but I don't want to. I want to jump up and down and scream and shout. I am so happy for you, and
thank you.
You're welcome. And I really, I mean, gosh, again, not knowing me and me not knowing you very well, but I'm so proud of you, Esjay.
Thank you, Rob, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I love this. I love what you're doing. You're inspiring. You make me happy. You give these people joy. I know when people hear this, they're gonna smile the whole time because they don't know what's going on. But you know what? I'll end with this.
Neither do I. So there we go. I don't know what's going on either. So,
no, absolutely.
But company.
But you know what, Esjay? But there is something happening, and it's something that neither of us can control because it comes from out there. It's not us, but we are catalysts to this, to the heart.
100%.
You know, and you are the perfect example of how joy and talent and ambition and effort can culminate in something that is so deep and profound and lovely that it impacts generations. And so keep going, and thank you so much, Esjay. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy.
I cannot tell you how much your words mean. Like, you have made my day, and it really does. It instills in me and affirms, that this is not all in vain. So I really appreciate you so much.